BG3 just got another new patch. We also had the opening weekend numbers drop, and we had a developer clap back on Twitter. We also have a checklist and to-do list for Act 1 if you need it, and a whole bunch more. What's up, World? We're back in the video, we're checking out all things BG3. Okay, so first up, let's just jump into the patch notes, and thankfully this time they actually covered the spoiler sections, so I don't need to manually do it this time, which is nice. We had some more crash fixes and progression blockers, and one of those being you weren't able to long rest in a certain edge case. They also applied some more fixes for the cross-save system, which again is mainly in place for the PS5 release. As of right now, you don't need to have cross-save enabled unless you really want to have those saves transferred when you do get it on PS5, or if you are going to get it on PS5. Yeah, I would assume most people would just stay with Steam. If you are playing through Steam and you want it on your Steam Deck, you also don't need to have cross-save enabled there. You can actually just use the Steam Cloud Save system, and that's actually what pertains to your Steam Deck and will allow you to play those saves. So yeah, if you're just playing this game on PC, you can disable cross-save. It seems to be causing a lot of issues and a long save time. I noticed it on launch day that I was saving my game and it was taking forever to save. Also, if you are having any lag issues with saving, and mine got really bad into the later areas of Act 2, if you turn off cloud save, it will actually entirely remove the stuttering. So if you do have stuttering when you save, and I save quite frequently, turn off the cloud save for now, and then at the end of your play session, turn on cloud save and then save again. It'll lag like crazy, but after it's done, it will then upload all of the saves that you just made. I find that to be a lot better, and it improved my gameplay drastically. We also had some multiplayer fixes here. We had some issues with visual artifacting and split screen when using Vulkan. Combat got a lot of fixes, but a lot of these are spoiler driven. Certain damage wasn't applying correctly, and restoration wasn't applying correctly as well. They also had some character creation issues, which fixed a mismatch between colors and character creation, and in-game, which mainly affected the horns. However, I will say that my beard is still multicolored, which is kind of cool. I don't know why it did this, and I'm pretty sure you cannot highlight or multicolor the beard. But yeah, my character has a multicolored beard, and I'm pretty sure it's the opposite of my hair color, which is like a bluish green on the highlights, but then my beard color is white and it has pink highlights in it, or like red highlighting. In the character creation screen, no matter what beard I switched to, it wouldn't go away. I kind of just left it and was like, whatever, it looks kind of cool, and there wasn't an option for it. So I almost feel like I have something that's kind of rare. There's some audio fixes, but those go a little bit into spoiler territory. There's also some massive gameplay issues that they fixed. Ones where it would effectively have somebody permanently leave your party, even though it wasn't intended to do so. A lot of this stuff is covered up for spoilers, as there is a ton here with that, and it delves pretty late into the game with some of this stuff. So if you want to go through any of this stuff, I will have a link down below to the hotfix. They also had some major journal fixes, which would lead to misleading quests or updates. They fixed a bunch of stuff with flow and scripting. A lot of this stuff pertains to dialogue options and things with the player companions. There was also some UI fixes and a massive list of cinematic fixes as well. Again, if you want to deep dive into all this stuff, a lot of this stuff has a lot of spoiler stuff in there, so if you want to deep dive, check out that link down below for the hotfix. Next up, we have Larion that posted these insane opening week numbers. And if you haven't gotten through at least midway through Act 1, I wouldn't check this out just yet. However, if you're in Act 2, or at least mostly done with Act 1, I would say that you can check this out. There's just some stuff here that does have spoilers in there, at least for one section of it. Some of these other stats are really cool though, like players spending 88 combined years in character creation, and nearly 10% of players spent at least an hour in character creation. I was definitely one of those. I was in there for quite a while. They also said that 93% of players rolled a custom character. Players have spent a total of 10 million hours on the game, which is over 1,225 years. Those type of numbers are staggering to think about. But yeah, this game definitely deserves it and definitely has the replayability for much more. It also looks like if you did buy a collector's edition, they are finally showing up at people's doors. So now people do have the collection edition showing up. And a developer commented here saying this is the first one I've seen in the wild. So if you did order a collection edition, I would make sure you're checking up on that track. We also did have an employee under Larion Studios, and this isn't just any employee. This is the director of publishing clapping back at another person on Twitter. So this article from IGN has been going kind of wild, basically talking about that the new standard for RPG is Baldur's Gate 3, or at least that developers should try to reach for this standard. We had somebody random here from some marketing studio who tweeted here, please put some thought into it before you proclaim this is what AAA should be moving forward. 6 years, 400 people with insane funding due to IP have given BG3 a big boost. It's truly unrealistic to expect this on a regular basis. But this guy could not be further from the truth, as we had a developer of publishing here saying, what funding? Not only that, we had another person comment here about it as well, saying that developers aren't panicking, and the director of publishing, Cromwell, also replied to this one as well, We said, small detail, I believe it's publicly known that WoTC didn't fund BG3. They actually paid for the privilege of creating it with this IP. So not only did they not receive this insane amount of funding, they literally paid for the IP itself. So this couldn't be further from the truth. This is the exact opposite of what happened and what they did, or at least what that tweet proclaimed. Not only that, 400 people on a AAA team is not big by any means. Activision Blizzard for Diablo 4 had 8,500 people working on Diablo 4. And we all know how that game came out. More people doesn't equate to a better quality game. In fact, it seems like you can be overstaffed or overworked. Bungie has 1,000 people working on Destiny, yet apparently the last X-Pack created one of the worst problems with the game, and they have a microtransaction store that sells you on everything along the way. And the Omniverse is one of the main reasons why I quit Destiny 2 like 5 years ago or whenever it came out. You could clearly tell where Bungie was going, and yeah, a lot of the OG devs from Bungie left a long time ago. A lot went to Respawn, but those are kind of gone now too. Most of those OG guys are either retired, which makes sense, or they're at much smaller indie studios that actually care about creating games, kind of like the people at Larion Studios. It's crazy to see this type of discourse from developers, especially ones at bigger teams. You know, these developers claim it's so hard to make games, and I do understand that, but it's really hard to make a car too. And in the famous words of Asmongold, when I go to a dealership and I buy a car, I expect it to have 4 wheels. I don't care how hard it was to get everything to work correctly in the mechanics of the car. When I buy a car, I expect a car. When I buy a video game, I expect a video game. Not a video game hiding as a product, which is a shell of a video game. And there are tons of examples that could be reiterated. However, I won't go more into that. It's just sad to see that this is what the state of gaming is. You know, basic qualities of stuff that we had in 2005 and 2006, like Forge mode in Halo Infinite taking a year to create, or outsourcing the entire development work for all these new games, or overusing contracted workers on every bit portion of every game it seems to be. It's just sad, as this was not what gaming used to be back in the day. I get that companies need to advance, but we're advancing backward. And even though Baldur's Gate is an incredible game, it should have been the standard for a long time. There's absolutely no reasons why developers can't strive to be like this, or at least be close to what this quality product is. And to see them just shame it, it's really kind of hilarious. On an ending note here, if you wanted to see how you did with Act 1 and what your completion rate was, we do have a checklist here of things to do before leaving Act 1. I wouldn't look at this list until you've been done with Act 1. The same as what I did. I went back and kind of saw, I'm like, oh, I missed that. Most of it was just gear for me that I missed. But yeah, this list is kind of cool to check out if we want to see what you've missed or what you haven't done. But overall, that should about cover for today's video. If you like it, and subscribe. Until the next, deuces.